bougie, ratchet, sassy, movie.
Hello? 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 Is everybody there? Makes me sad. Look, the music is so perfect. Albert. He is so sad.
वीडियो एडिटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर ढूंढ रहे हो फ्री प्रोफेशनल, आपका सिस्टम के लिए ही है, मैक के लिए अवेलेबल नहीं है। इस वीडियो एडिटिंग सॉफ्टवेयर का आपको एब्सोल्युटली फ्री मिल से बहुत ही ईजी है यहाँ पर वीडियो एडिटिंग। लेकिन दोस्तों ये फ्री लाइट वेट वीडियोस क्रिएट कर सकते हो। इंटरेस्टिंग है ना, एक चीजें भी मदद से कर सकते हो। यस, ये सारी प्रोफेशनल चीजें तो इसकी मदद से यस आप प्रोफेशनली वीडियोस को एडिट कर OS यूज की मदद से आप बहुत अच्छे वीडियोस एडिट पर वेबकैम कैप्चर का सपोर्ट मिल जाता है, ऑडियो कैप्चर का सपोर्ट मिल जाता है।
Whether you're a beginner needing something simple for YouTube, Facebook, and other sites, VideoPad has both a free and pro that would have been previously described as.
Honestly, if you're asking the Asian to judge Asian work, it's a lot more relevant and a lot more user and better because there's a lot of cultural relevancy in this.
We're at one with you. We understand you, every single context you would probably.
And presets. With more features, the more you pay. Free and open source program with no limit on the number of project with multi-track timeline editing, trimming, and HDR grading tools. along with support for all major file formats and resolutions up to 4K. One of your clips, DaVinci Resolve does have a steep learning curve.
This is enough to meet the needs of most video producers. One of the most useful features found in Pinnacle Studio Support, Sort and Build Project 23, Best for Beginners. Pinnacle Studio Plus offers use to create slideshows and similar things. However, it has come a long way and it's become
That's what I really love about Vimeo. There's just a diversity of creatives that we can tap into. We'll get briefed internally.
At number 3, Vegas Pro 17, Best for Intermediates. Video editing software out. DaVinci Resolve is one of the best, if not the best, free video editing software for professionals and amateurs. It's a great choice for the people who have basic.
What's the best video editing software for Windows right now in 2021? With software, how things stay for you. All right, with that out of the way, the first category is someone who is at that beginner level. Editing. It's also got a ton of extra functionality built in for motion graphics and special effects, and isn't the most intuitive interface. There is going to be a learning curve for you to get up to speed using Resolve. End up resonating more with VSDC unless you are stocking more features, more functionality, more performance, and in a lot easy it is. It's got an amazing, really it is. It has come a long way and is now a great option for video editing. It's got a really clean, easy to use interface, and it packs in a ton of features to get up to speed and editing in there. And likewise with Filmora, that's also going to suit anyone. It's a gang. So in this category, not only have we from once again trying and testing level production products, a great option for you, especially if you're someone that's using a low powered. You can download the trial version shop, but also do things with just a single key press to save you.
हेलो गाइस, मैं तौसीफ खालिद और आप देखिए सिंपल है, तो इसको लर्न करना जो है वो बहुत ही आसान है, बहुत ही इजी तरीके से जो है आप सीख सकते हैं.
If you're essentially being awarded in this market, the rest of the world are looking at you. We should be making sure that our work is recognized to show the
4-5 घंटे में काफी अच्छे से जो है वो सीख लेंगे. यहाँ पे रेंडरिंग स्पीड की बात करें तो यहाँ पे कोई भी चीज जब आप रेंडर करते हैं तो ये एक्चुअली डिपेंड करता है आपके सिस्टम कॉन्फ़िगरेशन के ऊपर कि आपका सिस्टम कॉन्फ़िगरेशन कैसा है. जितना अच्छा आपका सिस्टम सीख सकते हैं. तो ये था फिल्मोरा के कुछ पैरामीटर्स जिससे आपको अंदाजा हो गया होगा प्रीमियर प्रो, एडोबी प्रीमियर प्रो इंडस्ट्री या फिर रेंडर स्पीड की बात करें तो मैंने आपको पहले अवेलेबल है. साथ ही हमारा एडोबी प्रीमियर प्रो थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है क्योंकि एप्पल की जो बहुत ही इजी तरीके है वो कर सकते हैं. और ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम की बात करूं तो ये डेटेड ग्राफिक क्योंकि इसका इंटरफेस जो है ये जो सॉफ्टवेयर है ये काफी ज्यादा कहीं ना कहीं कॉम्प्लिकेटेड है और इससे रिलेटेड आपको बहुत ज्यादा ट्यूटोरियल्स वगैरह भी जो है वो देखने को नहीं मिलेंगे. रेंडर टाइम की बात करें तो रेंडर वाटरमार्क जो है इसमें आपको देखने को नहीं मिलेगा, लेकिन इसका प्रीमियम वर्जन भी आता है जो कि आई थिंक 25,900 के करीब जो है वो आता है. अगर हम लोग रिसोर्सेज की बात करें तो ये जो सॉफ्टवेयर है सॉफ्टवेयर को पूरी तरीके से सीख पाएंगे. तो गाइज ये था, आपको ज्यादा हेवी यूज करने की जरूरत नहीं है. फास्ट
An air of confidence about them, let's be honest. When you've got a guy at the back like Van Dijk, and you've got ability in the middle of the park with Frankie de Jong, you've got the legs of Wijnaldum, and let's be honest, Memphis Depay is now a really, really good striker. He looks dangerous. He's not the most clinical of finishers, but he's been getting his fair share of goals over the last 2-3 seasons, and he deserves to be playing for Barcelona as a centre forward. So I think they've got. I wouldn't like to play against them. There's plenty of other sides I would rather play than play against the Dutch.
But they labour today though. They 0-0 up until the 84th minute.
Tell you what, but they're labouring to win. They're labouring to beat any team that put in front of them. They've won 2-0. Who cares whether they laboured for 80 minutes? They scored 2 goals. They deserve to win the game, and they're going straight to the World Cup. I mean, what are you wanting? You want Johan Cruyff's title?
No, Steve, but you look at
no.
those players and ones you're talking about. Let's not forget this is a side who were 2-0 up against Montenegro and then let that slip.
No, but to Stevie's point, a point against Norway would have done the Dutch. And Norway offered absolutely nothing, as Jan rightly pointed out, because of how right now I like what I'm seeing from them.
I've been doing on football under derby by the Italian media. So there's a lot of tension, as there would be if someone that you were mates with and took on holiday stole your missus. That's actually, I wouldn't have that person. But as of the last few days, one that took to Instagram to suggest that Maro was once again tearing a family apart for a slut, because apparently he'd gone off and cheated with someone. The last time he did that, it was to cheat with you, because you were ruining the family. That's yourself.
You are just a fool.
I'd love to see her try and rekindle things with Maxi over the coming weeks.
I wanna say I'm sorry for the things I've done.
And to be honest, from Maro's actions, it sounds like he's pretty guilty. He's not training at the moment. He's calling for Wanda back on every social media platform there is. But ultimately, he was caught messaging another Argentine model named China Suarez. Her name's China, and she's from Argentina. Fam, you should have known there was something wrong from the start. They're not even geographically close together. This guy's got so desperate that he's threatening to leave PSG if she doesn't take him back. What do PSG have to do with this situation? This is your family life, big man.
Why they get picked up?
This brother's starving. How are you going to involve an entire football club organisation? They've got Mbappe, Neymar, Di Maria and Messi up front. I don't think they particularly care.
Oh no. Anyway.
What are they supposed to do? Insert a take-back clause into his contract? Is he expecting Sergio Ramos to take time out of training to give them both marriage counselling? Poch, mate, I'm sorry to do this. I know you're probably a little bit busy at the moment, Maro, please. But look, she's just not taking me back. You know, we've got 5 children together. I want the best for them. You know, I want to move them to a secondary school that they have. Maro, this is a Champions League semi-final. I just don't think the higher-ups at PSG simply care enough about this man's marriage proposals. They don't care about what's being said on Instagram. He's not even getting in the starting 11. But you're hardly going to see Maurizio Pochettino giving evidence in the civil courts here. I'll tell you who does care, though. The rest of those PSG players. They know what Mauro Icardi's like when he's single. They're all finished. Mauro was a teammate of Maxi Lopez when he stole his woman off him. Nobody's safe. Angel Di Maria, Leo. It's gonna be panic stations as soon as they see Tinder's been reinstalled on his phone. Neymar's sister's about to get a new DM, and for once it's not from me, or her brother for that matter. But it did seem to be some sort of respite in his story just a couple of days ago, when Mauro himself posted an Insta story of himself, like basically using her as a pillow. That sounds crazy. Only for her to then post the next day simply a picture of her hand, and the caption said that her fingers look better without a ring on them, like a wedding ring. AKA Mauro Icardi's wedding ring. This is a power statement. Mauro made everybody think that they were all happy again. The kids hoovered up their Insta whilst they were at school and thought that their parents were back together again, only for her to post this with LV boots in the background. She's flexing at the same time. I'm leaving you and you don't have to pay child support. That's crazy. That's outrageous. So she's still holding out. He's still in the doghouse as far as she's concerned. But the maddest thing about this whole situation for me, and pretty much the reason why I'm making the video, because I think everything else is just, well, you know, there's just a couple of people having an argument and a fall out. I don't need to make a whole video about that. Until you realise she's his agent. This guy's not getting another goal bonus in his entire career. How and why did anybody think this was a good idea? This woman, who Mauro Icardi is now simply begging for forgiveness, is also his manager. He's in the mud. I don't think it can ever be a good idea, right, to involve your partner so distinctly into your work. If you work together with your other half, then that's one thing. You know, I still think that's a bit crazy because, you know, obviously you're seeing each other in a work environment, it can be stressful, sometimes it can have adverse effects. Relationship advice was mirrored. But I think there's another thing to have your other half as your agent slash footballing manager, given the situation you found yourselves together in. Like, this isn't just, oh yeah, we met on Tinder or we were
like childhood sweethearts. If you stole this woman from another footballer, you've cheated before, and she's definitely cheated before. This is not gonna work out. And at that point, it starts to make a bit more sense as to why he's threatening to leave PSG. It's not because he wants power over the French side, it's because he wants power over her. She's his agent, so if he terminates his contract there, then she's gonna lose out on a lot of money. Though he's gonna lose out on a lot of money as well. Honestly, good luck to them. They both seem very set on ruining everybody involved's lives. And if anything, I respect that quite a lot. I've just had enough. I've simply had enough. Lights out.
GoDaddy offers hosting that's reliable and simple to set up. Get 99.9% uptime and best-in-class security to keep your online business running smoothly. Site backups happen automatically every day, so you never lose a thing. 24/7 expert support comes included. Choose from a range of hosting plans that suits your business. Get 30-day money-back guarantee, which makes your purchase totally risk-free. Host your site with the world's #1 web host today.
South Americans from PSG need to just fix themselves up. I actually think he's a bit muddled, because obviously he can say, oh yeah, I'm gonna leave PSG, I'll terminate my own contract. And of course that'll have financial ramifications for her as well as him too. But like, I mean, she's still his agent. She's about to provide him the most stressful move and deal at Arsenal that he's ever encountered as payback. He can't stay loyal to an Argentine TV presenter and model. How's he gonna stay loyal to Mikel Arteta? For me though, if he can get out of this horrible situation, which he has completely caused, might I add, then Newcastle, just go there, bro. It's like you can go into hiding. Nobody's gonna chase you to Newcastle. And regardless, he'll fit into the local area perfectly.
Full time occupation smashing birds.
Though once again, I'm not entirely sure how the transfer negotiations are gonna go. Just this one time, I'm asking for you to listen to me, alright? How hard is that? You've not done that since we got together. Maybe if you hadn't cheated on me with this dickhead that's called China, but not from China, then I'd listen to you a bit more often. Furthermore, you never pick the kids up from school. It's always me that has to get in the door so we can give Maro a 4-year deal. So where does Maro Icardi go from here? Out of everybody's DMs, stop messaging people. It's just all a bit of a madness. But one winner from all of this, probably Maxi Lopez. And with Newcastle's new Saudi Arabian funding, they'd definitely be able to afford buying Mauro Icardi in January or in the summer to get him out of this situation. To be honest, I think he worked pretty well there, and obviously he would improve their striking options dramatically. Callum Wilson's obviously sick, but Joe Linton scored less on the pitch than Icardi has off the pitch in the last 10 years, so we'll see how it develops. Let me know what you think of this disastrous situation down in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video though, feel free to slap a like on it, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy yourselves. Goodbye.
Hello and welcome to the TIFO Football Podcast. I'm Joe Devine, and I'm joined here in the studio by Alex Stewart.
Hi Joe.
Hello, how are you?
Just doing some neck warm-ups.
Lovely. Well, we'll need your neck to be extra warm for today's podcast, because of course there's plenty to talk about international break. Joining us all the way from Germany, EU, it's Guten Tag, Herr Staffordbloor. Wie geht's too?
Mir geht's is good, Herr Devine.
Lovely. Well, there we go. Again, international break. But we will be talking about Dean Smith to Norwich, Gerrard to Aston Villa, Arsenal's resurgence, and Crystal Palace on an unbeaten run, as well as some of the international break fixtures there as well, all of which producer Adonis has highlighted in the podcast planner and isn't here to unhighlight. So that's going to irritate me for the next hour. Looking forward to that.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing really well. Now, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I will be sharing with you the pros and cons of working at a Big Four or an accounting/consultancy firm. Now, as you guys all know, I have experience working at KPMG, which is the biggest four accounting firm in the world, and I just want to share with you my experience and what I thought about working at KPMG. So I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the pros and some of the cons. Mainly pros because honestly there's a lot of cons. So I'll give you all of the advantages of having worked at a Big Four and where that can ultimately take you. So if you guys are interested, then please keep watching, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel down below, and let's just get started on this video. So starting off, I just want to give you guys a little bit of information on what I did at Big Four. So I was at KPMG. So I was there for about 2.5 years. I started off as a graduate within the external audit or risk space, and I was specifically in the financial services division within the sort of risk assurance space. So what that meant because I know a lot of you people, you know, you're usually straight out of uni, you get a grad position, and whether you can, you know, actually fit in well with the industry, and you can actually perform the work in the private industry. So working at a Big Four is hard to understand because you obviously deal with clients every time, so you get a little bit of a sneak peek into what that client does, what the industry does as a whole, and whether you can actually see yourself working there down the track. So I think that's really valuable, having that sort of experience, having that sort of insight and knowledge into seeing how other organizations work as well, in case you do want to sort of take up an opportunity later down the track. So yeah, that's one of the pros of working at a Big Four, just the endless opportunity, different clients, different people, you know, different projects. There's always something happening, and it's always very much dynamic, so you're never really doing the same thing over and over again. Now, the second advantage I want to mention is that, say you're starting off as a graduate, you've done your graduate program for a year or whatever it is, and then you obviously move on to becoming a consultant. And then just to take you through a little bit about what the tiers are. So it's consultant, senior consultant, manager. There's not really assistant manager where I worked, but after manager, you'll be associate director, director, and then partner. So back to what I was telling you. Basically, if you're a consultant, you get a lot of opportunity to sort of step up and prove yourself as a senior consultant. There's so many opportunities where you can get to sort of act in the role of a senior con, perform their duties, all while you're a consultant. There's definitely a lot of opportunities that, you know, they provide for you to sort of, you know, to step out of your comfort zone, to try something different, get thrown into the deep end, because I think their sort of way of learning is, you know, chucking the deep end and they'll just learn to sort of swim or drown or whatever it is. And also just wanted to mention that my division that I was working in was comparatively smaller than, you know, for example, audit or external audit, depending on what you call it. My division was definitely a lot smaller, so on the engagements and the projects I used to work on were very small. You used to just be a consultant, sometimes not even a senior consultant, and just a manager and a director and a partner, obviously. So it would just be, you know, if there's no senior consultant, then the consultant will have to step up and perform certain duties. And obviously if you didn't want to and you weren't comfortable, then obviously like your first year grad and you're really not comfortable, then they won't force you. But they will push you if they feel like you are ready and you need to move on and transition onto the next sort of role. So I think there are a lot of opportunities with sort of progressing quickly as well. I feel like there's a lot more of a quicker progression path working at the Big Four compared to where I work now at a bank, for example. So because I'm a manager at the moment, so for me to become a senior manager would essentially have to mean that someone who's a senior manager either gets promoted or they lose their position. Only then will that sort of slot become available for me. So in terms of the Big Four, there's always, people coming in, always people leaving, so there is a higher chance for you to move up quickly up the corporate ladder as compared to working in the industry, because people usually stay in those roles for 10, 15, 20 years, especially if you are a boomer, no offense if you are, but you guys generally tend to stay pretty long in your job just because that's the way that you've been brought up, or that's what the culture was like back then. And it's all about, stability, stability, stability. So for that reason, it's really hard to sort of progress, or it's not hard, it just takes longer because you can't really sort of see yourself in that position properly, or you can't even be acting in that position usually, because obviously the senior manager is there to do that. So whereas at a Big Four, there's always opportunity. People are always encouraged to, step up and step out of their comfort zone. So I think that's definitely a plus point in terms of your learning, in terms of your sort of career prospects as well. You're just getting to that higher role quicker, which I think is really good. It saves you time and you're sort of ahead of the game as well. Now, the third advantage, or the third pro that I want to mention is the secondment. Now, I want to say that this is by far the biggest sort of benefit that you can get working at a Big Four, because I did a secondment opportunity and I landed my job at a bank where I'm working now. Because the Big Four are professional services firms, they perform work for their clients. For example, say a big bank is a client of one of the Big Four accounting firms, then you may be seconded out to help one of the banks, or it could be any other organization. But I was seconded to a bank, one of the Big Four banks in Australia, and I was seconded out there for about 3 to 4 months. And I was performing the work of, a manager at the bank, and I was sort of involved in all of the day-to-day activities, duties, and actually, part of the team. So I essentially become an employee for that bank, and I'm working like a normal employee, and I had really, really good insight into what those, day-to-day activities, what the work involved, and what it was actually like to be a risk manager at this bank. So because of KPMG, I would obviously not have had the if it weren't for obviously KPMG having that secondment and sending a few people out. And I can tell you already, a few people also did sort of jump ship as well. It's definitely a great opportunity because obviously these big firms are reputable because other resources, so they obviously first reach to the Big Four to provide those resources because there may be a resource deficiency, too much work has sort of popped up and they need someone to help in that area. So there's no one better than the Big Four because obviously the people there are considered to be trained and very well qualified, and apparently they know what they're doing. Secondment, I think, is a big thing for me. It definitely landed my industry job. So having that experience, having that sort of intel into what it's like to work in the industry definitely is a plus point, and you would not get these opportunities elsewhere, I think, or to this standard. So yeah, definitely secondment opportunities are amazing. Now, another pro of working at the Big Four, I have to say, is the type or quality of people that you're surrounded with. Now, obviously, as you all know, it's tough to enter, tough to sort of get into the Big Four, especially through their graduate programs. There's like thousands of applications that come through, and only the top people sort of get selected. And because of that reason, you are surrounded by like-minded, ambitious, very career-driven people who are always sort of looking to succeed and progress in their career or life, and that in itself is such a good feeling because everyone around you is super successful, super driven, and there's obviously that quote, you are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with. So I think coming to work every day, you always know that you'll be switched on, everyone's on their toes, and they're alert, intelligent, knowledgeable people, and that would really sort of help you improve yourself as a person as well. So yeah, I definitely think that's very important to surround yourself with quality people. No offense if that sounds a bit rude, but that's essentially what it is. Like, those people have been handpicked to perform their duties. Obviously a few of them don't fulfill those duties and they get booted out, but the majority of them are super intelligent and very, very career driven, and that will obviously rub off on you as well. So I think having the opportunity to work with some intelligent people is definitely a plus point, because you're not only learning, but you're sort of bettering yourself as well in terms of self-development. So I think it's definitely a really good environment, and definitely a competitive environment, if I didn't mention that. Now, the next pro I would like to mention is the travel opportunities. These travel opportunities were endless, like honestly endless. Now, obviously, given we've got COVID and also the pandemic, obviously these have been somewhat limited because people are now working from home. But when I was there, it was like proper travel. So you would be traveling to other regional cities. Some people even went overseas as well. If you love traveling, then definitely something you want to look into, because it's not only fun traveling, but also you can explore the country, you can explore places as well. And I think it's sort of a win-win situation. So if you love traveling and you're in the sort of risk consulting audit, I definitely know there's a lot of travel. I think there's a lot more travel in the audit field, because I think they are also required to go to the clients. There was a fair bit of travel in my business as well, but obviously not as much as audit. But yeah, if you love traveling, then I would highly suggest applying as well, because COVID, things have sort of resumed back to normal in Australia somewhat. I'm still working from home, but I know a lot of organisations have sort of returned to work, so they are attending clients. Like my brother, he works as well at one of the big 4, and he is at the client at the moment. So I know a lot of people are traveling at the moment. So yeah, if you like travel, then I highly recommend it as well. Now, the next pro I want to mention is the ability to land another job. If you like work at a big 4, you have to land another job, be it at another big 4 or within the company. There's always a sort of unspoken rule where, if you work at a big 4, you just always above the bunch. You'll always be highly regarded, just because there is that built-up reputation for. So especially for me as well, obviously, I had that secondment opportunity, and then I was recruited because they thought that I was a KPMG employee, so I must be really, really good at what I do, and that was one of the reasons why I got hired. So I know there's a lot of people that, they work at the big 4, they do their time, they get all their study and qualifications completed, and then they switch over because they know that the pay is higher, they know that, there's more sort of work-life balance as well, but I'll touch on that a little bit down, in the cons. But yeah, the ability to land a job is a little bit more possible if you have worked at a big 4, because as I said, it's considered to be trustworthy, reputable, and it's sort of a multinational firm. So it's just one of those things that if you've got on your resume, you will be ranked higher than other people that don't have that on their CV. But I just also want to mention, not take everything that I say literally. Take it obviously with a grain of salt and make your decisions, and make sure that they're informed and done by research and have to by yourself. So yeah, that was definitely one thing that I saw, that you have the ability to. Now, the last pro that I think is that you've got the opportunity to complete your postgraduate studies. That could be CA, CPA, Certificate of Internal Audit, or anything that's sort of in line with the work you do. I know when I was working assigned to me, and I think it's assigned to pretty much all employees, and you're able to go out and take up a course. And I know obviously if you're in the audit field, then you need to do CA, CPA, whatever it is that's required, and you can something else. But if you're in you do have that flexibility, having that sort of flexibility, that option to actually complete a postgraduate degree, I think is amazing. amazing because obviously degrees, postgraduate studies are very expensive, so having the firm really works with you. But there are a few rules involved with that as well. After completing CA or CPA, you are sort of required to stay within that firm for a year. Otherwise, if you leave, then you need to pay back the cost of the courses that you complete. But I think, yeah, having that sort of option to complete your postgraduate studies while working is definitely a point. I know international and are really keen on completing some postgraduate degree. So if you are thinking about it's going to be expensive or whatnot, then have a look at applying at the Big Four. And if you are working at the Big Four, then you should know that you are able to take up that course. But I do know that a lot of divisions do offer it because it is required for the role. So yeah, those are a few of the pros or the advantages of working at the Big Four. Now I'm going to delve into the cons, even though I feel like you shouldn't take these cons too seriously, because in the grander or bigger scheme of things, I think you're essentially setting yourself up for success, and I think the pros definitely outweigh the cons, but nonetheless I'll talk about the cons as well. So as we all know, the pay is obviously lower than industry. Now this is pretty much well known everywhere that the pay is significantly lower, and we all just need to accept that. The amount of sort of reputation, the amount of weight that name is going to put on your CV is so much better in the grander scheme of things. I know the pay will be shorter like I did 2.5 years later. Double. If you're amazing, we all know that most of the firms aren't going to increase their pay because they know how high the turnover is for these positions working at the Big Four. So I think this is something that you need to accept and really have your budgeting, on point as well, just to make sure you are on top of your expenses. But yeah, definitely the pay is lower. So have a look into Glassdoor or Reddit or whatever it is that you look into to see if you will be comfortable living on that salary. I know that they talk about, a few of the roles and what the expected pay is. So have a look into that and make your decision based on that. Now the second con I would have to say is the long hours. You guys obviously know within the risk consulting or internal audit division, and based off of my experience, I never really worked long hours. I was literally 9 to 5, if not 6. The hours were pretty comfortable for me. I know within the audit or financial service audit sort of divisions, long hours, like definitely long hours. Sometimes you're working until midnight, 1 a.m., 2 a.m., especially if it's like year end or busy season. Be mindful of that. I mean, you definitely know what you're getting yourself into. And if you're someone like me that is really concerned about work-life balance, then I wouldn't suggest doing that, because your work-life balance is going to be compromised. But also I just want to mention that it's not always that you're going to be working those long hours. I would say maybe 50%, 60, 70% of the time. So just be mindful of that and really know what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, everyone knows the Big Four for having, long hours and no work-life balance. But I know a lot of people who are managing it and are managing it well. They're here on YouTube as well. First thing for me, traveling. Really hard at times as well. But now given COVID, I mean, going with a client, I don't think they will force you to go. So another con that I want to mention is that you may become a workaholic. Just because you're surrounded with people who love their job, who love working and are super motivated to get the project or get the work done, you are bound to be like them as well. You're going to have to put in the extra hours, you're going to have to, perform at your best, you're going to have to fight for your say, fight to be recognized. So I think you do become a little bit of a workaholic, but that's completely up to you and how you sort of take that. And the final point that I want to mention is that you need to work harder to get recognized. I know I touched on this a little bit before, but you definitely need to sort of step it up a lot. You almost need to be a teacher's pet. This is my experience and what I've...
Hey guys, so in today's video...
Everything is just terrible. The game's so slow-paced. Good point, eh? So slow-paced, it just encourages bad players.
Another year, another failure. Same shit, different disc.
Call of Duty Ghost multiplayer sucks. How surprising.
Why is Call of Duty Ghosts, at least, such a bad game?
I think Ghost is the worst Call of Duty. A lot of the maps on Ghost are bad. They're really big, bad, ugly.
Fucking look at that texture, man.
This game has what are probably the highest system requirements on the market right now, and that is just ridiculous.
Ghosts just feels like a fuck up, a mistake.
I had to spend $8 of my own dollars on this, and I want that $8 back. It's that bad.
Well, the single player was pretty much a nosedive according to everyone in the community.
The plot and the story is the dumbest I have ever heard.
So however you might have expected a game called Ghosts to differ from the modern shooter routine of meaningless violence and empty spectacle, you were wrong, you idiot.
Everything looks the same. Honestly, I swear to God, if I just opened this game accidentally, I would think I was in Black Ops 2.
How can a series go on this long and always get worse? Worse and worse and worse and worse and worse.
I mean, most of you guys think if I touch this game, it'll probably burst into flames.
I've come to the verdict that this game is fucking garbage.
I mean, this game was so boring, you had to put clothespins on your nutsack just to stay awake playing this shit.
But it's all my pre-order ki thi na Call of Duty Ghost.
Look at that texture, you can even read the label. I feel like I'm running around with like the worst vision ever.
The maps, they all fucking suck.
Pulling out a SATCOM, which is completely a fucking useless kill streak.
You're supposed to care about it somehow. I sat myself through this because I figured, you know what, it's worth a shot. But was it worth it? No, it was not worth it at all. None of this was worth it.
Well, well, well. Or should I say, wool, wool, wool. If it isn't the undisputed black sheep of the Call of Duty franchise. Unlike a traditional Ghost, this game stands out like 100% does on an opacity slider. There is no amount of stealth or white smoke that can cloak this game's reputation. Fans were still pretty mixed about Modern Warfare 3 and Black Ops 2, and none of us really knew how the next Call of Duty would turn out. It was a time of uncertainty. So, Treyarch passed the torch to Infinity Ward. It was their time to go down the slide, and when they came down, they held up their latest creation. And people did not like the game. In fact, they hated it. They hated it some more, but not before hating it a little bit. And just to switch things up, they fucking hated it. Although none of this seemed to affect mainstream critics' view, who live off in fucking La La Land, completely isolated from the opinions of the general populace, and they just slap a 7 out of 10 or above on every Call of Duty game. Side rant over, if you do an Ask Jeeves search of the best/worst Call of Duty games in order, you would be hard-pressed to find one that doesn't have ghosts at or near the top for worst, and at the bottom of best. Ghosts would remain public enemy number 1 until Infinite Warfare, but even that manufactured garbage didn't change people's minds about Ghosts. Now I'm going to do something a little different with this video. I'm going to review Ghosts like normal with my own thoughts and opinions, that's what you're here for, and using the power of hindsight will help us in re-evaluating the game. However, I also want to put myself in the shoes of a Call of Duty fan back in 2013 and peer through that lens. By combining these two perspectives, perhaps we can discover some new intel on this game and find out why Call of Duty Ghosts was so hated. So what the hell happened here? Why was Ghosts so divisive? Did the game change too much or not enough? Why don't many people talk about the campaign or story? Did Ghosts leave a permanent stain on this franchise's reputation? Did it excel in certain areas? And most importantly, where did the hate come from, and was it justified? Well, let's walk our dog through a war zone, get lost on Stonehaven, and ghost our way straight into this.
Call of Duty set the gold standard for first-person action in the current gen, and make no mistake, we're going to do it again with Call of Duty Ghosts for the next gen.
You're a liar! You're a liar!
It's not enough to just outline all the most common complaints people had with the game at the start of this video and call it a day. My job is not that easy. For most things, we'll discuss them when we get to them, like the maps, campaign, customization, etc. But what I can talk about right now is expectations. More specifically, Activision and Infinity Ward's complete failure to meet them. So I want to take you back and look at the 7th generation of consoles. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo are all doing pretty well in the sales department. Each console had its own niche and crowd supporting it. A simple comparison of games between the two generations revealed an entirely new level of polish, pizzazz, and technical capabilities that demonstrated a clear upgrade. But all three of these companies really sputtered in the 8th generation. The Wii U was a bomb that couldn't capitalize on its predecessor's success. Microsoft's reveal of the Xbox One, it turned them into a complete laughingstock. And while Sony had the upper hand this time, even the PlayStation 4 didn't make for a convincing buy at launch. So what we have is a bunch of hardware that most people aren't interested in. They don't believe it's worth buying, and they don't see much of a difference. This was the boat that Call of Duty Ghosts set sail and sunk in. I mean, you can really tell just how excited people were.
And as a side note, there are no more death streaks.
Now, I understand, it's tough creating a game for two different generations simultaneously. That probably put more of a stranglehold on what Infinity Ward could do with the game. But that's not gonna bail them out here. At the same time, modern shooters were kind of dying out, gone the way of the rhythm games and the dodo. Ghosts just felt like yet another modern shooter, not some top-of-the-line, next-gen first-person shooter it was claimed to be. And new trends would appear with the unveiling of Titanfall on E3, which kind of made Call of Duty look obsolete for a little bit.
Our new dog actual C-Team service dog. So we have fish move out of the way when you get close to them.
You know what? I take it all back. COD Ghosts was amazing. It pushed the boundaries on the most important part of game design, the graphical fidelity of dogs. Never before had we seen a game where fish actually swam away from the player. We had a new generation of consoles, and a new Call of Duty coming out, and both had failed in the eyes of the public to innovate in noticeable ways. We were not impressed, but outside factors were the least of Ghost's problems. You know why they call it Ghosts? Because it's a ghost of its former self.
Hey, that really sucked!
I'm not sure which is more painful to endure. A story that tries to be deep, but doesn't make any sense, or a story that's just plain boring. Luckily, COD Ghosts gives us a taste of both. It looked fairly promising from the trailers.
Soldiers stand against their enemies, but ghosts haunt them.
Surprise, motherfucker! They even bragged about their Academy Award-winning writer who wrote the film Traffic. I mean, shit, a focus on the ghosts? Running special ops missions based on stealth? I mean, look at how fucking cool they look. All the art is just like, I want to be that guy. The campaign has a somewhat promising start. We're told the legend of the Ghost, how a group of 60 men stood down a force of 500 with the objective of defending a hospital.
Oh, great group of guys.
The visual presentation is what impresses me the most. The way those bullets streak through the bodies like passing through jello, how the bullets of black greatly outnumber those in white, illustrating their fight against the odds. Every shot has a unique composition that tells a tale of how a small group of soldiers transformed into an ethereal, lethal force. This game has a unique style, and the artist did a kick-ass job with the overall aesthetic. Thing is, I love watching these cutscenes, but I don't like listening to them. The expository dialogue actually takes away from the impact of this story, although I understand its necessity because then it cuts to a nice picnic area between a man and his two sons.
He called them ghosts.
And this really happened. So the legend goes. Come on, Dad. You don't honestly believe that story's true?
Bitch, where do you think the plot is headed? Yes, son, I brought it up for no reason at all. No fucking reason at all. Just to waste your time. You should be more like your brother and keep your mouth closed so you don't disappoint me with your moronic fucking questions. Also, you're adopted.
Come on, let's head back to the house.
While we're walking home, let's take a second to introduce our characters. Elias Walker is the dad, Hesh Walker is the brother, and you're Logan Walker, the other brother. Anyways, in the span of 3 minutes, we go from a nice day in the park to the apocalypse. That's pretty jarring. And right away, it becomes apparent that the silent protagonist shit is not gonna work out for this game, because it's essentially a story about brotherhood, two brothers in particular. But how can you experience the depth of this relationship when one side of it is incapable of communication?
What they really wanted in this game, in Call of Duty Ghosts, is they wanted emotional reality. You know, they wanted these characters to feel real, to feel like real people.
It creates a disconnect that lasts from beginning to end.
What the hell is Dad talking about? What's Odin?
Hey, maybe it's one of those plot devices that never has a real explanation for its existence. I fucking knew it. So the Walker brothers, no, not those guys. These guys push open the door, and it cuts to 15 minutes early. We're in space now, because that's a Call of Duty cycle.
What's it been?
Oh yeah, I bet today is your last day before retirement too, eh? I'm sure you'll get home fine. Oh shit, the station's been compromised. Hell, we need... Wait a minute, who are these guys? I mean, it's a pretty cool set. A lot of fun moments as we fly around shooting bad guys. Okay, so the Odin station starts firing on the US. And hold on, why does the United States have this massive super weapon chilling up in space? How is security so bad that a group of 30 guys can shoot a bunch of firearms out of it with nobody noticing? Alright, kids, take out your textbooks, turn to page 207. The word of today is contrived. So, what's the evil faction this time? Russians, Germans, Japanese? No, it's the Federation. Might as well just call them Team Evil. So the premise is that some disaster struck the great energy-producing deserts, which then made every country that depended on that energy obsolete, therefore giving the rest of the world a convenient reason to not intervene in this conflict whatsoever.
Emotional reality.
Don't get me wrong, the setting of a war-torn America is fucking awesome, and the levels are beautiful. The artists, again, do an incredible job on the landscapes and graphics. It really pulls you into the setting. But the logic is missing. In Black Ops 2, Menendez's rise to power is more convincing, as it's shown how he's able to manipulate the hearts and minds of people, and how he used social media and viral marketing to promote his cause, tap into the revolutionaries and win them over. More importantly, his rise to power was actually covered in some capacity. In Ghost, you'd think a massive space station being hijacked and firing on the United States, killing millions, would get the other world nations involved, but nah, the rest of the world fucks off because they don't have the most valuable resource known to man: desert energy. The Federation's rise to power is summarized in a fucking sentence.
The Federation united all of South America under one banner and devoured everything in its path as it moved relentlessly to the north. We fought hard. We fought well.
Out on the plains, we gave them hell. And here's another problem. How does this invasion affect the government, the news media, the citizens? Who cares? You came to see the ghosts, right? These important questions don't need to be answered, because we're not supposed to relate to what's going on and the people affected by it.
Emotional reality.
Anyways, we jump forward 10 years and the United States is a wasteland. In this alternate reality, Trump has already built the wall, but it hasn't kept illegal immigrants out, and so as the new border patrol, Hesh and Logan need to scout the area. Ha! Up and down burger. Now that's clever. And as you play through, you realize these are more open Call of Duty levels? I'll talk more about the level design later, because right now our dog is murdering people.
Dog model.
Yep, this is Riley, that good old woofer that was showcased in the trailers and announcement videos. Now, some people might have hated Call of Duty Ghosts because of this dog and how overly emphasized it was.
One of the fascinating new additions to your squad is a dog. This is someone you care about. This is a squad member.
But to me, Riley is the most talented, obedient dog in the world. Riley, go kill that man over there. Go sneak through the tall grass without being spotted or alerting those guys with guns. And Riley, make sure the camera is pointed towards this one guy. Riley, come ride in the tank with us and look adorable. Riley, come pilot this helicopter. Riley, cook my breakfast. Riley, do my taxes. Riley, go back in time and prevent the Holocaust. Anyways, we kill some guys, meet up with Elias, and get set to head to no man's land. And hot damn, I will say it again, this game is gorgeous. As we stealth our way through a dilapidated California, we come across a captive ghost and a man named Rourke, who is hunting the ghosts. We sneak by, head into the forest, and find a hungry pack of wolves. Gee, wonder what's gonna happen. Why, of course, a quick time event.
Well, who didn't see that coming?
Oh no, Riley's hurt. Oh, hey, thanks for the save. What's up, Casper? How you doing, Slimer? You guys just get back from the mansion? Eric and Keegan are a couple of ghosts who recruit us to help them save their buddy Ajax. And this is where the plot kind of derails into irrelevance. To summarize, Rourke used to be a ghost, but during a mission, Elias and him get into some trouble, and he had to drop Rourke to save his own life?
What?
Oh no, Rourke, you're too heavy. You should have lost weight. So after being publicly fat-shamed, Rourke was kidnapped by the Federation, brainwashed, and now wants revenge on Elias, his sons, and the entire United States.
And a ghost won't stop until he completes his mission.
So that's his motivation. Now I want to ask all of you, what's the one thing any and all stories need to be interesting? Conflict. The biggest flaw with Ghost's Academy Award-winning writing is the way the conflict and the bad guy are written. Ghost doesn't just brush over the motivations of the Federation, they don't even mention it. What is the Federation's mission? Why did they invade the United States?
You must have no end of questions.
You know why Halo 2 has Tartarus as the leader of the Brutes? Because it's easier for the audience to understand what the Brutes are about by having a charismatic leader that represents them. Sean Yu from Mulan. Ozai from Avatar The Last Airbender. Barbossa from Pirates of the Caribbean.
What are you looking at? Back to work.
These leaders have a lasting impact on their respective stories because of how they take charge of the factions they lead.
Agreed.
Rourke doesn't do shit to represent the Federation. I don't even know what the connection is. He's the worst villain in the franchise by far. And this organization has seen almost no screen time or development. The soldiers are barely characterized at all. I mean, you did interrogate one Federation soldier.
Where is he? I don't know what he is.
Oh, what's that? You don't have a passport? Who are the leaders? I mean, you're talking about an entire continent rising up, banding together, and invading the nation above them. Obviously, someone has to be in charge of all that, and it ain't this fucking guy who was just brainwashed. If we don't care about the conflict, then we don't care about the characters overcoming it. And if we don't care about the characters, we don't give two shits about the story. If we don't give two shits about the story, then why am I talking about it? The rest of the game is inconsequential filler up until the last few missions where we settle the score with Rourke. So he captures the gang, tortures us and Elias, and then...
Let's see if I can change your mind.
Oh no!
Easy, Junior. I ain't even started with you yet.
Oh fuck, I'm bleeding out. That was literally just a plot device for drama because 5 minutes later he gets up like nothing's wrong.
Emotional reality.
Characters shrug off bullets like they're nothing. It shatters the immersion so completely.
It's over.
You okay, Merrick? Ribs broken, but I can move.
They're overshadowed by the typical one-man army mechanic that would return in basically every game after this. There was a squad mode, which allowed you to create loadouts for bots, set them against each other. That's weird, who cares? And Ghosts also gave us some of the most pimped out DLC we've ever seen in gaming. Snoop D-O-double-G, announcer voice pack.
You just laid them busters down, but there's another round.
Now if that ain't the shiznit, then I don't know what is.
Pour out a little liquor for your sentry gun.
They also got Arlie Ermy as the drill instructor. And for 3 papers, hell yeah son, that's a damn good deal. Perk system is fly, but not super fly. I can dig it, yo. And this system is entirely unique to Ghosts. Perks cost a set number of points, so you could choose a few stronger ones or a bunch of weaker ones. You can sacrifice equipment and weapons for more perk slots. There's a whole bunch of perks to play around with. You can really carve out a unique play style. There's lots of game modes, even some new ones like Grind, which is basically Headhunter from Halo. It's decent fun. Then they have Search and Destroy, the Big Boy, which is one of my personal favorite modes in the franchise. It's S&D, but you can save your teammates and deny respawns to your enemies by collecting dog tags. One thing you might not know is that COD Ghost advocates for hardcore drug abuse with its new mode, Cranked. In TDM, you score a kill and it feels satisfying, yeah? But when you score a kill in this mode, you get cranked! Oh yeah, that's the stuff. Oh, I'm cranking now, boys. Oh, dude, there's some good crank. Ghost was also the first to introduce soldier customization, changing outfits, headgear, and all sorts of accessories to choose from. You can even pick one of the classic characters like Captain Price, Makarov, and Soap McTavish, of course if you pay a nominal fee. Whoa, 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 what is this? Women and minorities in my Call of Duty games? Who decided to put so much politics into this game? On a more serious note, let's talk negatives, i.e. the rest of the game. Fans were upset because CTF wasn't in here at launch, and neither was Search and Destroy. Unfortunately, Ghosts has the sorriest progression and leveling system I've seen. Squad points are cool in theory, but the problem is you unlock whatever you want, no matter your level. Sounds nice, but it makes ranking up feel incredibly unsatisfying. Weapon progression is lame as hell too, dog. Want an attachment? Just go ahead and buy it. Who cares? No kills or time required. That's just straight wiggity whack, man. Know what I'm saying? When a game gives you everything, it doesn't feel like you're working towards something. And with the prestige system having you start a new character instead of restarting entirely, there's no longer a tough decision to make on if you want to re-unlock everything. It sucks. Fans wanted a grind, and they didn't get it. Additionally, Ghosts has some of the shortest kill times. Yeah, people complained about short time to kill in a COD game. But it's a valid complaint. The game is super twitchy. It's like they were prototyping the hardcore modes and then just never turned it off. Combined with how rare it is to see people, there really is not much action to be found in the multiplayer. Balancing is alright, but every COD game has its shitty, overpowered playstyle that damn near everyone uses and frustrates the hell out of everyone else. And now it's camping with a thermal scope. Why is this so common? I'll tell you later.
If you're not camping, you're not playing Ghosts, honestly. So it was amazing.
I was gonna say, no, if you're not playing pizza box and camping with the dog, you're not playing Ghosts.
You know what bugs me? The way this shit is displayed. Having 80% of the camos and reticles consist of paid content with that stupid green symbol is pretty fucking annoying to look at. There's so much garbage in this game. It takes away the fun of working to unlock camos. But shit, at least you can smoke up, homie. Now let's talk streaks. The same system returns from MW3. Most of the streaks are pretty average, but what players really hated was the SATCOM, a strange twist on the UAV where you have to put it on the ground, and even then, you needed 2 of them to get the standard UAV effect. Yeah, there's a reason they never implemented this in future games. Kill streaks are very underwhelming overall. We went from emergency airdrop on the fucking way to I guess there's an 18 straight. Field orders were also hated because they allowed dumbasses like me to do this. I got a freaking chem strike for stabbing a guy. How is that fair? In a nutshell, the multiplayer was divisive for the ways it altered progression, prestige, kill times, the disappointing score streaks, and every other aspect. People expected things like weapon perks, theater mode, to return, and they didn't for whatever reason. The multiplayer might have had some good changes, but it lost a lot of parts of that Call of Duty identity we all know and love. Which brings me to my next subject. So, what does sexy ol' Act-Man think about the map design in Ghosts? This is easily the most common and fiercely despised aspect of the multiplayer. Now the question is why? You might expect that based on what I've said in the past that I'm going to instantly love the maps in Ghosts because hardly any of them are 3 lanes, but you'd be wrong! However, their immense size doesn't complement Call of Duty's fast-paced gameplay. Let's face it, you don't buy a COD game, hop in a multiplayer match, and then make long methodical decisions about how to approach the enemy's position. Maybe in Search and Destroy and Search and Rescue to a greater extent, but for the most part, no. This is not Rainbow Six Siege, or even Battlefield. Most COD fans want to jump into a match and just run around shooting people. That's fine. But when your maps get in the way of that simplistic fun, that's when people get upset. Stonehaven, for example, probably the most hated map in franchise history. It's massive, and because of the size and sightlines, the game heavily encourages camping with sniper rifles and or thermal scopes, which makes it all the more aggravating if you don't favor that playstyle. Stormfront in TDM is a chaotic clusterfuck. On some maps, it's nearly impossible to predict the spawns or get a general idea of the enemy's position, so you end up running around flailing your crosshairs all over the place like a chicken with its head cut off. The flow is just awful. When you look at the overhead designs of maps in other games, you can see the logic behind it. I might bitch and moan about the nature of 3-lane maps, but they work for a reason. It makes it simple to find other players. But when you look at the maps in Ghosts, it's like they just scribbled a bunch of lines all over the place. It's a fucking mess. I mean, do you need all this extra space over here? Let me put this in bold text so it's absolutely clear. The maps aren't bad, but they're bad for Call of Duty. You don't have access to Ghost's full potential unless you have 8v8 or 9v9 matches, the maximum amount of players. And nobody in matchmaking had that. You needed custom games. But naturally people are going to hate the maps because they can't find anyone to shoot. In short, yes. The larger maps are too big. Matches go on for too long, and that fast-paced gameplay loses power. Where Ghosts constantly drops the ball in substance and gameplay, it is always spot on artistically, which is something I don't think this game got enough credit for. A very underrated aspect of map design is the story of the map itself. This is left up to player imagination, and when you look at Tremor, you see all these missing posters, writing, and art on the giant wall, similar to the Berlin Wall. It's a minor detail, but they even had handicap parking signs. It's like all these details are really unnecessary, and most people probably didn't notice or care to look at them. But it's something I appreciate. Whiteout is like a fishing dock, with these sick log cabins decked out with all sorts of pelts and paintings. Some homies were even having a poker game. There's a helicopter with spinning blades that you can kill yourself on. Now how cool is that? Sovereign might be a factory, but it's actually cool. All futuristic and shit. There's a conveyor belt building tanks as the match goes on. Additionally, sometimes they got unique gimmicks. The maps are dynamic. It's not always a plus though. Free fall is set on a collapsing building and periodically shakes the camera around, which really messes with your aim. But in Strike Zone, when a player gets the chem strike, it changes the map entirely and aesthetically. In Warhawk, you can use a breach charge on a door to open a pathway, and on Freight, you can open and close doors that reveal new areas. So say what you will about how these maps play, not one of them is lacking in style, charm, and detail. It's this startling contrast that makes Ghost so unique. It's a far cry from the blocks on a grid with 3 lanes and 2-story heights archetype that has become synonymous with the Call of Duty brand nowadays. The effort is here. It's just misplaced in certain areas. Something must have gone horribly wrong in the testing process of these maps. I have no idea what they were thinking.
Which one of you shoes are just over here?
Oh, what the fuck? There's an underwater part of this map?
Yeah, there's underwater.
Oh god.
Yeah, if you fall in the water, you drown.
Oh no. Oh god. Is it worth going back to play the multiplayer all these years later? But if you got the capabilities to host some custom games, you might find some enjoyment you never did before. For a long time, Infinity Ward had been looking for an answer to Treyarch's Nazi zombies. Well, apparently Spec Ops and Survival from Modern Warfare 3 wasn't good enough for some reason, and so they made something completely new, Extinction, Infinity Ward's third attempt to one-up Treyarch, and what has been called Ghost's best feature nowadays. Whether or not that says much is up to you, but it doesn't. Now, I went into this mode totally blind, had no idea what to expect. My first match was so much fun. I explored the map with childlike exuberance. What's this? What's that? Weapon upgrades? Special ammo? Gimme, gimme, gimme! I shot at aliens and frantically ran around them for 30 minutes before my organs were finally harvested without my consent. I immediately wanted to play again, but then it hit me. Would Extinction play out the same way every time? If it did, the mode would get older faster than Benjamin Button. So how does it hold up after 6 years? Well, you're thrown to the wolves, or should I say cryptids, almost immediately. And in points of contact, the first mission, there isn't much story to go off of.
Ain't seen anything like this before. Jesus, don't let that stop you from smearing it all over yourself.
It takes place in an alternate timeline, because every Call of Duty game needs alternate timelines, where the Odin strikes accidentally unleashed an ancient breed of aliens upon the world. So what's a nameless character supposed to do? You need to use the drill to take out the hives on your way to the crater. Arm that nuke and haul ass back here. There's apparently a story here, but it's in the DLC, so fuck that. Character and dialogue is an unfortunate reminder of COD World War II zombies. Extinction is more or less zombies and survival mashed together. In a lot of ways, it's one of the most unique side modes we've seen in the series. Instead of surviving for as many rounds as possible like a plebeian, the map is linear progressive. You can take time to explore, and the cryptids periodically spawn while you do, to keep things interesting. When you activate the drill, it also starts a holdout style of gameplay, and you have to protect the drill from the cryptids. As you advance through the different areas, new enemies appear. Sometimes a helicopter flies above to help you into the next area. Each area is dynamic and different from the last. Customization is there, but not as fleshed out as I'd like. You level up and unlock new skills, like different types of ammo crates, turrets, weapons, etc. There are 4 classes to choose from, each with a unique set of skills and playstyles. I do like the strategic aspect of talking with your team and planning what class you're all gonna play. It adds some depth and teamwork. You earn Skrilla just like in Survival, but there's not as much to do with it. You're able to buy weapons, activate traps, call in helicopters, and use special abilities. Though light, what I really enjoy about Extinction is the emphasis on surviving. You can scavenge supplies and caches around the map that could contain cash, special ordnance, attachments. It makes it fun and rewarding to explore. Zombies and Spec Ops and even campaigns are more traditionally geared towards grounded combat. So it messes with the sensibility a bit in a good way. It's hopping all over the place. You jump on street signs, jump over buildings, charge towards you. It gives a newfound level of verticality. Cryptids have all sorts of diverse roles. Some are strong and armored, others weak and nimble. I just about pooped my pants the first time I saw Light. Holy shit, that was an experience. Problems arise the moment you realize the layout is the exact same shiznit for each playthrough. Go down the path, kill the aliens. Had the developers maybe made more maps, the mode wouldn't have Fortnite for the 5th playthrough. There is no excuse for these studios with massive funding and on a brand new generation of consoles to only give you one map, and then sell you 4 additional ones for $15. I always think back to Black Ops 1, which had Kino der Toten, Classified, and Ops Arcade. Perfect amount of content, more than I expected. Because if you don't like one map, at least you have another. As a solo experience, Extinction starts out fun and quickly transitions into aggravating. When you're on your own, you never have enough time to reload, to outrun the zombalians, to repair the drill. It becomes tedious. At a certain point, the game doesn't stop throwing cryptids at you and you can't shoot your way through when you're holding the drill. So what I'm trying to say is you get to a certain point in solo play where you just get fucked. The finale is pretty epic though. You arm the nuke and have a limited amount of time to run back to the start. It's intense. But when you beat the level, it's like, what's next? Play it on a harder difficulty? Chaos mode? That might satisfy for a bit, but it doesn't for long. At the end of it, some fans might have enjoyed Extinction more so than the multiplayer campaign, and it has its role as a unique side mode that combines survival and zombies. But I feel like Neversoft missed out on so much potential. They made it more replayable, given us more maps. It probably wouldn't have gotten much hate at all. Who knows, maybe it was just too bizarre and off the beaten path for most fans to sink much time into it. I spent way more time in Spec Ops and the other zombies modes than I did here. But I see its appeal, and I understand why people want to see Infinity Ward, or even another team, take another swing at Extinction. Call of Duty Ghosts still sits at the loser table during lunch, and it probably won't ever sit with the cool kids. When viewed through the lens of hindsight, it seems like people are starting to warm up to this game a little bit. Maybe that's just because the last few releases have been so awful. Black Ops 2 and Modern Warfare 3 had their fair share of criticism at release, but have since been reappraised. On the other hand, Ghosts is still very much hated. To me, it lacks a lot of depth that made games like Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, World at War, Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 replayable to this day. You probably won't find matches beyond TDM, so it's unlikely the game has any steam or life left. But did Ghosts deserve all the hate? In some ways, yes. But people have a tendency to overreact with these things. How much of that hate was toxic frustration and how much of it was genuine criticism? It's hard to tell. Ghosts is caught in this awkward in-between where nobody really has a desire to go back and re-experience the game. I only did it because people asked me to. And there's no nostalgia factor here. Nobody is wishing they could return to the glory days of Call of Duty Ghosts. At the time of its release up until the present day, everything Ghosts did or has done was better implemented elsewhere in the franchise. The single player is average, and the storytelling even worse. York and the Federation fall fall flat as villains, and I never felt like I was rooting for the main characters to succeed. The game was still a financial success, but you can clearly tell that Infinity Ward and the other dev teams took notice of all the hate this game got. I think that's why we started to see this downward spiral in creativity after Ghost. For what it's worth, Ghost tried a lot of new things, some of which would be adopted in later games, and others that, thank God, never made a return. Most of the changes weren't accepted by the fan base, and that's why it has the reputation it does. Multiplayer has some interesting ideas, and the guns feel awesome, but there's so much weirdness within the progression of the map design that takes away from that existing Call of Duty feel. Once you take out the grind, you lose people. And while Extinction has its moments, there isn't enough content to justify replaying the same map so many times. With a series like this, it's hard to tell how fans are going to react. How do you judge good change from bad? Ghosts is a testament to how fickle the balance is between pleasing your fan base and incurring their wrath. The game didn't leave much of a lasting impact on the franchise aside from, oh dear God, remember when they tried that? Wasn't that just awful? And that is why Call of Duty Ghosts was so hated and bad. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 is a non-stop thrill ride of action, adventure, explosions, war, and deceit. Or to summarize it a different way, it's COD 4 on a week-long cocaine binge. It's no easy task creating a sequel to one of the most revolutionary and critically acclaimed video games of all time, let alone in a franchise that traditionally made standalone games with self-contained stories. Modern Warfare 2, believe it or not, is the first direct sequel in the franchise. And though Modern Warfare is easily the game that started many of the trends we see in first-person shooters today, and really put this series on the map, Modern Warfare 2 cemented many of those trends, and created new ones as well. Call of Duty 4 united a huge fan base together, and naturally hearing that a sequel, once again set in modern times, was planned, people got so excited. How would they improve upon what was basically a masterpiece? Where would they take the story? Would old characters return? What would the multiplayer be like? So many questions. The sales and success of this game speaks for itself, but success doesn't determine quality. And Modern Warfare 2 was the subject of countless debates and controversies, sparking discussion about what's okay to put in a video game and what's not.
A popular new video game actually allows you to be a terrorist and kill people. Take a look.
Despite the critical acclaim of COD 4, Modern Warfare 2 did not receive the same amount of praise. It's a pretty drastic drop in Metacritic score across the board, which I think is an indication that people's feelings towards the series were slowly starting to change. I mean, the franchise had always been about war and soldiers, history, and they were always fun shooters to boot. And it was mostly serious and semi-realistic, or at least it tried to be, in the way it depicted war. But MW2 has a vastly different tone overall, and all you need to do to see that is compare the trailers.
Leaders bursts into the dust of the West, destroyed our culture, our economies, our honor.
Et ils ont plein de couvertures comme ça et tout avec la petite amie. J'ai pensé à toi, je me suis dit,
This is when Call of Duty really started to appeal to mainstream audiences and develop this gamer dude bro culture that has more or less replaced the series' identity. Yeah, fuck yeah, you got Eminem spitting his lines, action's cut to the beat, it's so fucking cool, and it's a great trailer, gets you hyped up, but it's just not what Call of Duty was at that point. They even went so far as to create this hilarious and cocky commercial that was banned from TV.
Sons of bitches do it so loud they keep up the neighbors. Sometimes my door locks them. Some people go into domination mode. And that's some freaky deaky shit. I've heard there's over 20 million people doing it now. So it's safe to say that everyone is doing it.
I guess everyone really was doing it. It's been over 9 years since the game's release, and in that time, we've seen 9 new Call of Duty. But was there something special within Modern Warfare 2 that the other games didn't capitalize on? Is there still some secret ingredient to the Call of Duty formula hidden away in here? And was the story, campaign, and multiplayer a product of its time that hasn't aged properly? Well, let's whip out our new tubes, start World War III, and no rushing our way straight into this. At the end of COD 4, Captain Price and Soap McTavish stopped Imran Zakayev's nuclear missile launch in his attack on the United States, and then they killed the bastard. It was glorious. Fitting end. But the incident was covered up, with the launch being labeled as a missile test by the Russian government, and the heroes who stopped it didn't become heroes in the eyes of the public, which leads us quite nicely into Modern Warfare 2. The story starts off with a spectacular opening credit scene, as dialogue and snapshots from the previous game are played in the background. What the hell kind of name is Soap? I think the lime green aesthetic here works well for the art style. You know, makes it feel, what's the word? Modern. Afterwards, this new guy, General Shepard, monologues.
Welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys are all doing really well. Now, as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'll be talking through some of the Big 4 exit opportunities and when the right time is to leave the Big 4, be it either KPMG, EY, Deloitte, or PwC. So I know in a lot of my videos, my previous videos, I've spoken a lot about, how to get into the Big 4, what to expect in terms of the application process, and if you are a student and looking to apply for the graduate program, then I've obviously got a lot of videos around that, which I will leave in the description box below in case you haven't checked that out. But I thought it would be helpful to sort of discuss what the exit opportunities are after having worked at, the Big 4 for some time, what you can really expect to see, when you leave the Big 4, when you enter the industry, or whether you decide to laterally move to a different firm doing the same sort of role. So I thought it'd be interesting to talk a little bit about that. But before we begin, if you haven't already, then please do subscribe to my channel down below, and let's just get started on today's video. So before we jump into it, I just want to mention a little bit about the different stages of working up the corporate ladder at a Big 4 firm and basically what the different levels are. So I'm going to identify these
पॉजिटिव चेंजेस देखने को मिल रहे हैं, तो हम इस इंटीग्रेशन को और बढ़ाना चाहते हैं। तो फिर OnePlus ने अपनी डिजाइन टीम और रिसर्च टीम इन सबको भी ओप्पो के साथ इंटीग्रेट कर दिया। तो बेसिकली अब सिर्फ दोनों कंपनीज की मार्केटिंग टीम ही है जो कि अलग अलग है, बाकी ऑलमोस्ट काफी सारे कंपोनेंट्स एक दूसरे से कनेक्ट हो चुके हैं। तो जब ये मर्जर हुआ था तो काफी अच्छे क्लेम्स करे गए थे OnePlus की तरफ से, जैसे कि OnePlus पर्सनैलिटी जैसी बातें करेंगे तो लोगों का गुस्सा इनके अंदर काउंट होती थी। लेकिन फिर धीरे धीरे One UI बेटर होता गया और स्टॉक एंड्रॉइड भी ऑलरेडी बेटर है, तो फिर लोगों ने चेंज करना शुरू कर दिया, लोगों की प्रेफरेंसेस बदल गई। पर्सनली मुझे भी ऑक्सीजन OS पसंद था, लेकिन अब अगर एंड्रॉइड स्किन में चूज करें तो अदर देन स्टॉक एंड्रॉइड One UI बेस्ट लगती है। तो लोग अब दूसरी एंड्रॉइड स्किन्स को प्रेफर कर रहे हैं क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन OS अब वो है ही नहीं जो वो था। और लोग इसलिए भी खुश नहीं है क्योंकि जब ये अनाउंसमेंट हुई थी तो पीट लाउड ने खुद लोगों से कहा कि ऑक्सीजन OS विल रिमेन द ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम फॉर ग्लोबल OnePlus डिवाइसेस आउटसाइड द चाइना मार्केट। और अब पीट की एक अपडेट स्टेटमेंट आती है और उसमें वो कुछ और ही बोल रहे हैं। आफ्टर केयरफुल कंसिडरेशन वी हैव डिसाइडेड टू इंटीग्रेट द ऑक्सीजन ओएस एंड द कलर ओएस टीम्स टू प्लान द फ्यूचर सॉफ्टवेयर एक्सपीरियंस टुगेदर। तो अब अगर ये स्प्लिट पर्सनैलिटी जैसी बातें करेंगे तो लोगों का गुस्सा होना बनता है, पर ये तो एक रीजन था। अब हम देखते हैं कि आखिर ऑक्सीजन ओएस 12 के अंदर और क्या क्या चेंजेस किए गए हैं। सबसे पहले ऑक्सीजन ओएस 12 के बीटा वर्जन के अंदर OnePlus पूरी कोशिश कर रहा है दोनों साइड्स को कवर करने की। पहली चीज तो ये कि ऑक्सीजन ओएस की जो फील है वो ना जाए, और दूसरी ये कि ओप्पो और OnePlus का जो ये मर्जर है वो सक्सेसफुली एग्जीक्यूट हो सके, तो वो दोनों तरफ को कवर अप करने की कोशिश कर रहा है। तो अब देखते हैं ऑक्सीजन ओएस 12 में आखिर ऐसा हुआ क्या है। वैसे तो बीबॉम ने प्रॉपर कंपेयर करके दिखाया है कलर ओएस के साथ में, तो अब वो वीडियो भी देख सकते हो, मैं डिस्क्रिप्शन के अंदर लिंक कर दूंगा। तो ऑन एंड ऑन फोन का ऑलमोस्ट 70% एस्थेटिक ऑक्सीजन ओएस से चेंज करके कलर ओएस पे शिफ्ट कर दिया गया है। सबसे बेसिक सेटिंग्स ऐप को चेंज करा गया है, कलर ओएस वाली सेटिंग्स ऐप आ चुकी है। ऐप लॉन्चर के अंदर भी अगर आप डिफॉल्ट लॉन्चर चेक करोगे तो आपको वहां पे भी कलर ओएस ही मिलेगा। रीसेंट ऐप्स की स्क्रीन चेंज होकर कलर ओएस वाली बन चुकी है। इवन जो कुछ टाइम पहले OnePlus ने One UI से फीचर उठाया था कि आप सिंगल हैंडेडली कोई भी फर्स्ट पार्टी ऐप को एक्सेस कर पाओ, वो बड़ा सा टेक्स्ट और नीचे खाली स्पेस जो आती थी, वो भी OnePlus ने रिमूव कर दिया है। इवन उसको सिर्फ 1 साल ही हुआ था आए हुए को, क्योंकि अब सेटिंग्स ऐप क्योंकि कलर ओएस की आ गई है और उसके अंदर तो ऐसा कुछ होता नहीं है, तो फिर फीचर चला गया। पर ऐसा नहीं है कि सारे ऑक्सीजन ओएस फीचर्स खत्म हो चुके हैं। कुछ फीचर्स हैं जो कि इस मर्जर से सरवाइव कर चुके हैं, जैसे कि स्काउट जो कि OnePlus का यूनिवर्सल सर्च टूल बार है, वो अभी भी है यहाँ पे, और इवन अभी ये ग्लोबल वर्जन्स पे भी अवेलेबल होगा। पहले ये सिर्फ इंडिया एक्सक्लूसिव फीचर हुआ करता था। कलर ओएस 12 के साथ ओप्पो ने एक मिमोजी करके निकाला है जो कि एप्पल के एनिमोजी से कॉपीड है, वो भी OnePlus ने इंक्लूड नहीं करा क्योंकि लिटरली इसका कुछ काम भी नहीं है। तो कुछ फालतू चीजें हैं जो कि OnePlus ने रिमूव करी है ताकि कलर ओएस के कंपैरिजन में थोड़ा सा क्लीन एक्सपीरियंस दिया जा सके। सो दिस वाज द सिचुएशन। नाउ हियर इज माय टेक ऑन दिस। और इस सारी चीज को ध्यान से सुनना क्योंकि यहाँ पे फिर से वही ह्यूमन इमोशनल साइकोलॉजी वाली चीजें आ जाती हैं। तो अब इन सारे चेंजेस से हम और आपको क्या फर्क पड़ता है? तो यहाँ पे 2 तरह के यूजर्स होंगे। अब हम दोनों को डिस्कस करते हैं। पहला, अगर आप एक OnePlus के यूजर नहीं हो तो आपको क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है। ऊपर से आपके लिए तो कंफ्यूजन कम ही हुआ है, बिकॉज जब आप अपग्रेड करोगे तो आपके लिए चूज करना आसान हो जाएगा, क्योंकि अगर आपको मिलते जुलते स्पेक्स वाला ओप्पो फोन मिल रहा होगा जो कि कंपैरेटिवली OnePlus से सस्ता होगा, तो अब शायद OnePlus के पास कोई ऐसी चीज बचे ही ना जो यूजर को एक रीजन देगी OnePlus खरीदने का। वो कहेगा दोनों में डिफरेंस तो कुछ रहा नहीं है, क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है।
Discover one-on-one coding classes that engage your child's creativity. WhiteHatJunior.com. Book a free coding class today.
सो ये तो हुआ एक यूजर। दूसरा, अगर आप एक पुराने टेकी एंथुजियास्टिक यूजर हो तो इसका पर्सपेक्टिव थोड़ा अलग होगा। स्पेशली उन लोगों के लिए मुझे काफी बुरा लग रहा है जिन्होंने अभी अभी OnePlus का फोन लिया है। उस एंथुजियास्टिक यूजर ने जिस यूजर एक्सपीरियंस के लिए वो फोन लिया था उसे वो मिलेगा ही नहीं। पर जैसे मैंने कहा, ये फर्क उन एंथुजियास्टिक टेकी ऑडियंस को पड़ेगा जिनको थोड़ा सा भी यूजर एक्सपीरियंस में शिफ्ट आता है तो उनको बहुत गुस्सा आता है। बट ऑन द अदर हैंड, अगर आप एक नॉर्मल यूजर हो जिसको ज्यादा कुछ नहीं पता फोन्स के बारे में, तो उनको बहुत ज्यादा फर्क भी नहीं पड़ेगा। तो ये यूजर कहेगा कि भाई नया डिजाइन आया है, फोन अंदर से अच्छा सा ही लग रहा है, नया लग रहा है, तो ठीक है, क्या ही फर्क पड़ता है। तो ऐसे यूजर्स को ज्यादा डिफरेंस फील नहीं होगा अनलेस अनटिल इस यूनिफाइड ओएस के अंदर बग्स नहीं आएंगे, क्योंकि अगर बग्स आने लग गए तो फिर ऑब्वियसली चाहे आप कैसे भी यूजर हो सबको ही गुस्सा आएगा। सो 2 तरह के यूजर और 2 काफी डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव्स। दूसरी चीज जो मैंने आपसे पहले भी एक वीडियो के अंदर डिस्कस करी थी और टेक ऑल्टर ने भी इस चीज के बारे में बात करी हुई है, कि हुआवे के बाद OnePlus ही एक ऐसा चाइनीज ब्रांड है जो कि यूएस के अंदर एस्टैब्लिश्ड है। तो अब अगर ओप्पो को यूएस के अंदर अपना मार्केट खड़ा करना है तो उसे शुरू से शुरू करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, वो उस प्लेटफॉर्म का यूज करेगी जो कि OnePlus ने ऑलरेडी बिल्ट कर रखा है। तो अब अगर ओप्पो को यूएस में अपने फोन बेचने हैं तो वो OnePlus के थ्रू रास्ता बना सकता है, उसे स्टार्टिंग से स्टार्ट करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी। अब एक हार्ट टू हार्ट मैसेज, बिकॉज इमोशंस की बात भी कर लेते हैं। सबसे पहली चीज तो लोग ये मानने को तैयार नहीं है कि OnePlus एज अ ब्रांड बदल चुका है, क्योंकि जो कनेक्ट इस ब्रांड ने एंथुजियास्ट कम्युनिटी के साथ बनाया है ना, वैसा किसी और ने नहीं बनाया। और आज जब OnePlus ने एंथुजियास्ट कम्युनिटी को बिट्रे कर दिया है, तब भी लोग मानने को तैयार नहीं है कि ब्रांड बदल चुका है। तो इस चीज को सबसे पहले एक्सेप्ट करना काफी जरूरी है कि दिस इज नाउ जस्ट अनदर स्मार्टफोन ब्रांड। इनको अपने ज्यादा से ज्यादा फोन बेचने हैं और इनको अपना एक प्रॉफिटेबल बिजनेस चलाना है, जो कि शायद वो अभी कर भी रहे हैं। और ये मेरा एक पर्सनल ओपिनियन है कि जिस टाइम पे काल पे ने कंपनी छोड़ी थी, क्योंकि वो खुद एक इनोवेटिव इंसान है, तो शायद कंपनी की जो डायरेक्शन थी, ये जो मर्जर वाली चीजें कंपनी में तो पहले ही डिस्कस हो गई होंगी, तो उस साइड पे वो इंक्लाइन नहीं थे, उन्हें ये चीज़ नहीं पसंद आ रही होगी, मे भी इसलिए उन्होंने भी कंपनी छोड़ दी और नथिंग को बना दिया। पर दूसरी साइड पे ऐसा भी नहीं है कि OnePlus एज अ ब्रांड कंप्लीटली मर चुका है, कि मतलब अब ओप्पो और OnePlus बिल्कुल एक ही बात है। ये चीज़ अभी तो कहना सही नहीं होगा, बिकॉज अभी OnePlus 10 सीरीज आएगी, उसके अंदर ये एक स्टेबल OS बन के आएगा, तब हम चीज़ों को जज कर पाएंगे, तब पता चलेगा मतलब कौन कितने पानी में। और अभी जो OxygenOS 12 का बीटा है, जो कि Android 12 पे बेस्ड है, हाँ उसके अंदर बग्स हैं, हाँ उसको 80 to 90% कलर OS से रिप ऑफ करके बनाया गया है, पर फिर भी थोड़ी सी उम्मीद तो है, क्योंकि अगर OnePlus कलर OS को एक फाउंडेशन बना के चल रहा है और अगर ओप्पो ने OnePlus के पास थोड़ा बहुत कंट्रोल छोड़ा होगा अपने OS का, तो फिर OnePlus उसको कम्प्लीटली रिप ऑफ नहीं करेगा, बिकॉज उनको भी पता है कि लोगों को OxygenOS कितना ज़्यादा पसंद है। बट अगर ओप्पो ने कंट्रोल ही नहीं दिया, मतलब ओप्पो के पास ही सारा कंट्रोल आ गया, तो वो ऑब्वियसली कलर OS के साथ ही जाएंगे। बाकी ये एक पर्सनल ओपिनियन है, क्योंकि मुझे जो दिख रहा है वो यही है कि लोग बहुत ज़्यादा इमोशनल हो रहे हैं कि OnePlus ने हमारे साथ धोखा करा है, एटसेट्रा एटसेट्रा। हाँ, जिसने अभी अभी OnePlus का फ़ोन लिया है उसके साथ तो बिल्कुल धोखा ही हुआ है। लेकिन टू बी ऑनेस्ट, OnePlus यूजर्स को कलर OS बिल्कुल भी नहीं पसंद, क्योंकि कलर OS नहीं पसंद आता। उसकी शुरू से आइडेंटिटी ही कुछ ऐसी बनी हुई है कि वो पसंद आना मुश्किल है। तो आधे यूजर्स तो इस वजह से नाराज हैं कि इतना अच्छा सॉफ्टवेयर आप फेंक रहे हो साइड में और उसकी जगह एक ऐसा सॉफ्टवेयर ला रहे हो जो किसी को नहीं पसंद। सो फ्रॉम ऑल दिस, द पॉइंट आई वांट टू मेक हियर इज डोंट बी इमोशनल, इट्स जस्ट अनदर स्मार्टफोन ब्रांड। बदलाव आते जाते रहेंगे, ये चेंजेस होते रहेंगे। एक OxygenOS का दौर था, शायद अभी वो खत्म होने वाला है। तो सिंपल रखते हैं ना यार। और अभी जो आया है वो कोई एंड रिजल्ट थोड़ी ना है, मे बी कोई अच्छी चीज़ निकल के आ जाए। आई हैव इंटेंशनली मेड द वीडियो स्मॉलर, और मैंने ज़्यादा फीचर्स पे फोकस नहीं करा, मैं ज़्यादा मेंटेलिटी वाली बातों पे फोकस करता हूँ। तो कोई बहुत ज़्यादा लंबा खींचने वाली बात नहीं थी, और कुछ वीडियो छोटी भी होनी चाहिए। सो इन केस यू वांट टू नो व्हाई यू शुड नेवर ट्रस्ट Xiaomi, तो वो वीडियो ये रही। एंड दिस इज इट फ्रॉम माय साइड, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर वॉचिंग। आई एम दिवांशु एंड आई एम ऑन लीव टिल द नेक्स्ट वन। Bye bye.
How many of you know that Amazon has an affiliate marketing program where you can make money on Amazon? By the way, what is affiliate marketing? You take any product or any service and promote it, and
लाइफ का इतना इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट बन चुका है कि हमें नोटिस ही नहीं होता कि हम इस पे कितना